Hey, I'm Marcos, and I wanted to talk to you about guitar tapping. I'm using my Aristides T06 with a Fishman Fluence Tosin Abasi Signature on voice 3. And for amp sounds, I'm using my Axe FX3. Tapping is a guitar technique that I think sometimes gets overlooked. I think some people see it as too linear or too singular, but I want to explore a variety of ways that we can use guitar tapping on our guitars, as well as how to get started if you don't know how to guitar tap. So guitar tapping, if you don't know, is a percussive motion that we make by taking our fingers off the fretboard and slamming them onto the fretboard. And slamming's a bit aggressive, but you get the idea. One of the first people to popularize guitar tapping was Eddie Van Halen, who popularized guitar tapping in many songs that Van Halen performed. One of those songs was Eruption, which is an amazing guitar solo that ends in a burst of guitar tapping, which initially can seem very difficult, but when you break it down, it's actually a great place to start. This style of guitar tapping is what I like to call a 3-note tapping, where you have one tapped note, a pull-off, and a hammer-on. Let me show you a basic exercise that you can use to get started. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to have our finger on the 2nd fret of the B string. We're going to be playing the C sharp here. And then we're going to make sure that our pinky can come over here to the 5th fret on the B string, just so we can do a hammer-on later. So how we're going to start this exercise is we're going to do a tap with any finger that you feel comfortable with, but I would recommend maybe the middle or index, as they're the biggest and possibly the strongest. We're going to do a tap here on the 9th fret of the B string, pull off to the 2nd fret, and then hammer on with the 5th fret. I'll show you what that looks like slow, and then I'll speed it up. It's important to practice this slow and get a fluid motion that you can speed up, because later you're going to see this is actually very fast and it's going to be very hard to keep up unless you've practiced it slow. Let me show you this little bit of Eruption from Eddie Van Halen. I'm going to play it a little bit under tempo so you can really feel the motion of this 3-note tapping. This is a great way to get started with just getting familiar with that tapping motion, as later we're going to add more fingers and do more things, different rhythms. So now let's try using an equal amount of fingers per hand and do some tapping with chords. A really good exercise that we can do is tapping out some 7th chords. And what we're going to do is tap them from the bottom to the absolute top of the chord. Let me show you what I mean with this C major 7 chord. So when I'm playing the C major 7 chord, I have 4 notes here. And so what I want to do is alternate with each hand and tap out this C major 7 chord in a new way. Let me show you what I mean slowly, and then I'll speed it up. This is a really great exercise because I feel like it brings out the beauty of the tapping technique in a nice way, especially with this chord voicing. We can extend this to all the other 7th chords in C major. I'll show you slowly and then I'll speed it up. Remember to start at the very bottom and then alternate with each note. Now that you're getting more familiar with the tapping technique, I want to show you some other applications in a more compositional setting. For this example, I wrote a little riff that you can use to practice tapping. This is a bit more focused in what I would call the Midwest emo or math rock styling. For this example, you're going to retune your guitar to FACGCE, which is a very common tuning for this sort of style. So for this original etude, there's going to be a combination of tapping, pull-offs, and all this stuff. There will be a tab provided, so follow along while I play the example. So you can see how we can use tapping in a bit more of a compositional sense, a bit less of a solo and a bit more of an actual idea or a riff. So for this riff, what we're going to do is start out by doing a bit of a strum. When you're doing a lot of this two-handed tapping stuff, it can be a lot easier to do this over the fretboard, and this is because it's going to be easier to access the frets when we do the tapping. So we're going to start with a bit of a strum, and then you're going to do a hammer-on the 4th fret on the C string, and then on the 5th fret. And similarly to how we were trading off hands in the other exercise, we're going to be doing the same thing here. Do this with me while we tap on the 12th and the 12th fret of the G and the C string. While we're tapping those 2 frets, what you want to do is come over to the 4th fret on the low F and tap on to the 4th fret. Sometimes it can be good to do a bit of pre-positioning when you're doing tapping, so just getting ready for the next part. What you're going to do is hammer on that 4th fret and then slide it up to the 5th fret. And then kind of keep your hand in this position while we play the next part. I'll show you what I mean. Then what you're going to do is a bit more trading. So you're going to go from the 7th fret on the G string to the 12th fret on the C string, and then to the 9th fret on the G string. Then to round out that first phrase, we're going to come over to the 2nd fret on the F, the 4th fret on the G, and then we're going to play a little bit of an open string, kind of similarly to the other example, playing it over the fretboard. We're just going to play that open C. Here's everything all together. Next, we're going to repeat that phrase more or less, but we're going to add a bit of a variation at the end. We're going to do a pull off, and then we're going to do a bit of a line here where we tap on to the 12th fret on the G, and then pull off to the 10th and 9th fret. The third bar is very similar to the first bar, except for that we're going to add a couple of pull-offs. And then finally, we're going to finish out with a bit of a variation. Instead of 2-4 open on these strings, we're going to go 3-4. And this is going to add a bit of contrast that we're going to use later. Finally, for the last bar of this exercise, we're going to do some trading again. We're going to do groupings of 2 on the left and the right hand. We're going to go 4 and 3 on the F and the A string. And then we're going to go 12 and 12 on the G and the C string. You're going to keep your right hand over here doing 12 and 12 over and over again. And you're going to simply change midway through to 2 and 2 on the F and the A. When you put all this together, you're going to get your final riff. And this is something that, again, you should practice slow and get complete mastery over so that you can make it sound as good as it can. As you can see, there are a wide variety of uses for tapping on the electric guitar, and I hope I've encouraged you to try doing some tapping of your own. If you want to grab the tab to the Etude, as well as a bonus lesson on tapping, you can hit the link below in the description, as well as all of my stuff with my band standards and all the music stuff that I've been doing.